buying high-end custom furniture, you're essentially buying a status, right? You know, it's the main thing is I'm having this piece built for me, built for my family, built for my business, whatever. It's a status that you are selling them, right? It's like a bougie event. So I always like to shoot the photos. I used to send my photographer to our clients' places and shoot it in its final home, because that's where it's highlighted best. Because like, just like you said, you're building on a 15 by 15 room for photos. It's like that might work for like a couple small pieces, but the second you got a big ass conference table in there, like how do you shoot that? You have to shoot that. You got to shoot that in their place, because it's going to shine different in its final resting space, you know? I always thought that was fun. You can also tag them in their post, and you can use the pieces online and they want to show it off. Welcome to Makers Legacy Podcast. My name is Michael DeFazio, where I help makers of all kinds grow and scale their businesses, creating a legacy for their families through the communities and with the work that they do with their hands. So today we got Josh. Today we got Josh here from Star City Designs. This dude is doing some incredible work down in the States. You're down in what state again?
Virginia.
And down in Virginia, man. Yeah, I've never been down that way. I'm pretty sure I've driven through it, but never hung out there.
Got to come visit.
I know, man. We love traveling through the state, so that's definitely something on the to-do list. It's definitely one of the places we want to stop.
Come on.
So, all right, let's get these questions going here. So yeah, man, I wanted to talk to you just kind of like with the podcast. I wanted to just explain a little bit who you are, what you're doing, some of the things that you've overcome in business, because I want to help people understand that we're all going through a lot of the same similar problems in business. And I want to kind of give people a taste of what it's like when they get past the level that they're constantly running into, where like they're having problems and things like that. How do we get through it? So tell me a little bit about your story, man. I want to know, like, when did you know that you were going to be able to take your business full time like you're doing? Because I know you got a lot going on. You got a lot of companies.
Yeah, man. So it's definitely been a wild ride. Come from a kind of smaller town here in Virginia. Originally wanted to pursue essentially a career in baseball. That did not pan out due to some injuries and stuff of that nature. So I kind of fell back to my second love, which was business. Started a clothing company. That was back in 2012, 2011. Grew that to six figures.
Nice.
Wasn't too passionate about it. During that time, made a bunch of connections within, essentially my locale, and ended up creating a marketing company, which I grew and scaled into multiple six figures. Sold that back in 2015. Went back into the gym industry there for a little while. Essentially, it was like the fix and flip kind of guy. Come in, fire, rehire,
Okay.
do renovations, install SOPs, get the business profitable, move on to another club within the franchise. Ran that up into, I was doing that through COVID, so 2020. 2020 was when this particular company was founded. So Star City Designs, essentially I was in Roanoke at the time. Nickname for Roanoke is Star City. So that's kind of how that brand was born. Super bored, nothing to do outside of hiking, stuff of that nature. A bunch of sawmills around. Connected with a bunch of good individuals. One by the name of Michael Smullets. He owned Galleon Ridge Sawmills out there in Roanoke. Ended up picking up some kiln dried slabs from him. Just jumped all in. Didn't even start with the charcuterie board or anything small. Went straight to a 2 foot by 4 foot. 2 foot by 4 foot coffee table, and then also a 3 foot by 6 foot desk, waterfall desk, custom welded up, powder coated frame. I particularly built that for my office down there at that time, and yeah, kind of the rest was found a passion, found a love for it, and moved forward.
Love it, man. That's super cool. So you kind of just were like, I need some furniture. I'm gonna build my own couple pieces, and then what? Is that kind of what you use to start selling your work moving forward? Is that what you
Yeah,
kind of used as
yeah,
like, look, this is what I've done? Okay.
yeah. So the issue,
Where were you
essentially, the
finding?
issue at that, yeah. So the issue at that time that I ran into was I traveled so much, so I was constantly up and down the interstate, going from location to location. Roanoke's about a 3 hour drive. right? So I ended up, granted, I utilized that for my own personal use or office or whatnot. That kind of kick-started things. But I wanted to continue to grow it and see if it was just, something that I enjoyed or wanted to pursue in terms of a business, especially during COVID. There wasn't too much to do during that time. So I actually
Yep.
switched over to like charcuterie boards because I could throw 50 of them in the trunk of the car and take, the old Festool sander, vac, paper, and like a trim router, just little stuff or whatever. And I could take that with me wherever, and I could work on it. If I was at my parents' house in Richmond, I went to a buddy's house, wherever I ended up, I was essentially building, building charcuterie boards out the trunk of the car just for something to do.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
super fun, man. You're like, I just don't want to get away from it. I just want to bring it with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, I just get bored too quick, so I had to
What's
keep working. Had to have something to do. Yeah.
That's funny, man. Because when I first started this company down here, it was the same thing. Like I started this with the intention to never build custom cabinets, to never build kitchens, to never do staircases, and
Yep.
just to do and build the most craziest, most fun projects ever. Because of that, I get bored really easily also. So that was always my way of kind of getting out of that, was to just build crazier and harder things or more unique pieces for my clients.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what happened here. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever move outside anything that's 2 foot by 4 foot that I can't just kind of take with me on the go and build. Because I'm the type of person I don't like to sit around. I'm not very good at just sitting on the couch or relaxing or anything of that nature. So I'd rather just be doing something. Um, I didn't think I was going to make, I mean, realistically, a ton of money. Like it was profitable, but when you're unfortunately, in the charcuterie board business, you either have to pump out a fast product, to be profitable. If not, it's just kind of like a hobby that you essentially, it just pays your time back, more or less. It's not really I didn't foresee it as a profitable business at that point. And then,
One,
people just started hitting me up. I was like, hey, you want to build, countertops? You want to build me a desk? Do you want to do this? I was like, sure, why not? I'll try it. It's like if it can fit, if it can fit in the car at the time. I had a, Kia Optima, just drove up and down all the highways, whatever, for the whole gas mileage. I said, hey man, if it can fit in there, I'll build it. So just took projects with me wherever.
I love that, man. That's such a raw way to get started, man. I love hearing that. And I totally understand when you're talking about when you're going over the charcuterie boards. Making charcuterie boards like the hardest $5 I've ever made. You know, it's a lot of work for like next to nothing. We actually,
100%.
the way that we actually did it, we ended up like partnering up with an engraving company that kind of handled all of our charcuterie boards, and we put them on our online store. And when they were on our online store, it was just easy for me to sell them. It wasn't something that I had to, go back in the shop, source a board, do the whole
Oh,
custom. The way that we used to handle all of our custom orders just for this small piece, we would kind of just
oh, 100%.
standardize it as much as you possibly could and automate it through another company. And they handled all of our charcuterie boards for us. And I was able to make, $5 or $10 a board, but it was just extra money. And it was honestly just kind of servicing a need for our clients.
Yeah. Yeah, the good thing with that type of stuff,
here's a
and for anybody anybody that's watching, is it's a good, we'll call it gateway. So it drives, like you can easily
Yeah,
run Facebook ads and different things or through Marketplace and have your brand attached to it. And essentially drives free traffic or SEO or however you want to, flip it back to your website. And then people's ideas, kind of start to go on. Hey, I've been thinking about a desk for a while. I've been thinking about this project or that project. And it always leads into and trickles into more business. So I definitely think it's definitely a good gateway. I just wouldn't, unless you're super efficient and got 8 arms. I don't think you can build a retirement or anything like that off of charcuterie boards. Unfortunately, I could be wrong and say
no,
different, but
I don't know. I'm sure somebody's doing it, but like you said, they might have 8 arms. You might be dealing with an octopus over there or something.
Mhm.
One thing One thing you said that's very important for people to understand is that a charcuterie board or a small, what we used to call in our shop our smalls, like our coasters, cutting boards, charcuterie boards, even up to the point where I would call some of our floating shelves our smalls. It's a
Hmm.
gateway, like you said, right? So people are more likely to buy from you as a return client than they are from a first time client. So if you're able to sell a client or somebody on a smaller piece like a charcuterie board, they're essentially in your system. They know, like, and trust you already because they've already bought a product that they're happy with. So it's like you kind of sell them on the small piece and then you get them in your funnel. You start showing them other things that you can do. They start understanding what you're capable of. And like you said, they're going to start getting desks or dining room
Hmm.
tables and some of the bigger pieces like that. So it's like you do the charcuterie board for a small thing for them, but it's literally just to open the gates. It's like the gatekeeper. We gotta get that one out of the way.
100%. And, one of the big things with it too is, yeah, you might be sacrificing time. You're essentially break even. However, a big takeaway from it is, hey, if I pump out 100 charcuterie boards, right, and I get 75 Facebook or Google reviews, that builds social proof. It garners, organic SEO, for you and your company or whatever. And then it also gets people back in the funnel, so then you can look at it from like a LTV or lifetime value of that particular person. Like, I mean, once you, I'm sure you probably know this by now, but I actually checked this morning. Since you want somebody's in my system, I have like an average order amount over the last 3 years. I think my average card order, if you take all the customers that have ordered with me over the past 3 years, it's like I think $3,250 between essentially everybody. And a lot of that's from, had one individual last year that spent $50,000, $60,000 with me, uh, just for a couple, across a couple businesses. I know we can get into that more later, but commercials, it's nice. They got that bankroll and you're able to make a lot more profit.
Yeah, so I mean, commercial, residential, designer, or just like end user.
Yep.
There's definitely a difference between those four different types of income. I guess we kind of lumped it into one income area on our profit and loss. It was just custom projects, but there was
Yep.
different types of clientele. And like you said, the commercial jobs, they're typically bigger, but they also take longer because they're bigger jobs, right? It's not that they're just a higher paying project. It's it's just
Yep.
a bigger project. We used to have to run two teams when we would get those big projects from the commercial jobs. We used to call them the home runs and then running the bases, right? Like the home run would be the guys working on the commercial job that might be taking, an entire month to build out, but I need cash flow the entire time. So I was always having my guys on the running the bases essentially, getting, the 3,000, the dining tables, coffee tables, hutches and things like that out the doors as we're building the big commercial project to get it out the door. But at the end of the day, like the month was insane because of that. And we were able to not be so strangled from the commercial job because some of those big jobs, they strangle your cash flow because if you're the only one working on that big job, there's nothing coming in on the back end.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Have you run
definitely
into that?
yeah. Yeah, actually just recently. So it's I think I might have told you, but it's essentially I'm in the business part time. So maybe 15-ish to 20 hours a week. Then I have another individual that we partnered up with this year. Not necessarily equity partners, but we essentially it's like a rev share. He has a business, I have a business. Lauren Design and Construction. Gentleman's name is Greg. But yeah, we partnered up at the beginning of the year. We essentially we do a rev share equity type split. But yeah, I mean, definitely the time constraints with everything I got going on. It's tough, especially when you get those big commercial projects, because it's like not only does it take up an enormous amount of room, but you don't have I share a picture
Yeah.
of it, but essentially a 12 foot by 4 foot conference table, custom logo in the middle. Then we ended up like PPF wrapping it, custom welded frame, flowy line legs, and then also with a matching waterfall desk out of maple with use curly maple for the drawers, book match drawer faces. I mean, it's a killer piece. A lot of profit on it, but it also tied us up for. Granted, there was a couple like small things in there. What was it? Probably 60 day on the deliverable. Granted, I was close to
Nice,
like 25,000 somewhere in there, deliverable on that piece. But
nice.
yeah, yeah, we definitely run into that. So that's definitely something that we've been kind of working on too. Is with us, our biggest thing is efficiencies. Learning now. Granted, did all this investment into different finishes. Use Chimavir like LED cured hard wax oils. We also use Clean Armor, which is essentially a UV cured top coat. Definitely, I think anybody watching should definitely look into that stuff. But I'm learning now, and I think you
Super
do it as
cool.
well. Is that we got to spray stuff, man, to get stuff in and out the
Yeah,
door. Uh, Dude, hand applying, machine applying, like even all that stuff. The hard wax oil has to be machine applied or like a non-scratch pad, but that clean armor you can essentially hand wipe it on, wipe it off. But I mean, you don't have to spend as much time sanding. You don't have to take up as high on your grits. Like you get so much time and efficiency back on just spraying items. And I learned that on the last couple projects. Tie up a day finishing, where before it might have been 5 to 7 days using like a Rubio monocoat when I first started. And as
yeah,
progress within the business, it's like, dude, how do I get this time back? I can't scale when I spend 5 days finishing a table. 5 days I could have worked on something else
yeah.
and pumped something else out. So definitely,
A
definitely
hundred
some
percent.
learning curves or whatever.
And to add to that, like what I always found is like the technology and the products now, like there's like it's advancing so fast. Like even in the finishing world, like you said, we got a UV powered hard wax or whatever it's called. It hardens with it. It's within seconds of the UV light hitting it. It's insane. There's so much technology coming out in that area, and it's like, a lot of the things we do, we need reps on it. We need to do, we need to use this finish a couple times.
Yep.
Like I'm thinking that we're doing it right, just for it to go to the client's house, learn that we did something a little bit wrong. Now we learned from it. So it's like when all of these new products keep coming out, how are we supposed to like know all of them, get better at all of them, and know that we're doing the best job? And I think it's just a painful trial and error period, in my opinion. That's how we've done it.
It's definitely unfortunate. I think everybody should, to a certain extent, just dumb it down, right? Essentially offer two finishes, right? For us, it's, clean armor. I mean, clean armor, their 757 line, I can hit it with, I have like a concrete coating business, but essentially I can hit it with, 4 inch like on a hand grinder or whatever, the little diamond cup wheels that you would use to grind concrete. And I can hit the finish with that or whatever, and all it does is scuff it. It doesn't mess up the table. Like it's insanely durable, great for commercial applications. But damn sure better get it right the first time because once you
Wow.
bake it, you ain't sanding it off. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
it,
mean,
right? That's crazy, man. We definitely
yeah,
we dumbed it down in our shop also, just finding one product, and we literally just offered one. We did an
yeah,
epoxy top coat, which is a little bit of a different product altogether, and then we just
yeah,
used a water based satin finish for everything else, and it was just a really easy way because, like you said, when it comes to finishing, if you wanted to speed it up, you can batch it. So we would do like a finishing haul. It would be like a Thursday, Friday at the end of every week. We would spend the entire 2 days um, finishing, and then everything that was finished that week got finished in 2 days, and it was ready for
yep.
delivery. So that was how we did it, man. And it was fantastic, like dumbing it down and just giving the best possible product over and over again.
How's durability on that product?
We have to use a catalyst. So with a water-based finish, we always had to add a catalyst to it. We use the Saman. I don't know how
Okay.
anyone else pronounces it, but it's SAMAN. Water-based
Yep.
finish. I've been using it for about 10 years now. I started out applying that finish by hand before we had the equipment when we were just kind of starting out. But over the
Yep.
years, we ended up buying an airless sprayer, and I love that product, man. The sheen is amazing. You have to use a catalyst though. If you don't use the
Yep.
catalyst, it's no good.
Yeah, I remember talking to you not too long ago or whatever. I was like, I think I saw there was some table you pumped out, but it was like all black or whatever. And you're like, yeah, just cabinet paint and a top coat. I was like, dude, that's when I started thinking, or that's when I got into clean armor. Um, I was like, dude, I got to start spraying. I was like, sometimes I'm so OCD and like a perfectionist or whatever, especially like sanding swirls. We do a ton of epoxy work. So obviously epoxy shows everything, especially as you progress up in those grits,
Yep.
whether pressure lines, ghosting lines, whatever the case may be. Uh, I was like, dude, I can eliminate all that by just spraying. Like I don't have to be as
Right.
delicate during the sanding process. And I can get 4 to 5 hours back, or like across that 12-foot conference table. And if I sprayed that thing, I would have been done with that. I probably spent 20 hours just in finishing because that was
Whoo.
clean armor, hard wax oil, and then I PPF wrapped the entire table just for longevity with some Suntech films. And I mean, granted, it turned out amazing, but that's 20 hours. I could have built a couple pieces.
That's yeah. That's a PPF, bro. That's like you're talking like the most durable table I've ever even heard of. So
Yeah,
it's
if
funny
they
we were
get through
talking
that, I don't
about,
know what to tell them.
right. It's like if you're trying to break it, you will break it. But other than that, there's no chance you're gonna break this thing or mess it up.
No. Yeah, that
So the
particular
one
PPF,
the
you can heat it up with like a little heat gun or whatever if you have like scratches in it, and it just dissipate. It's all self healing, all that stuff. You have to. I ended up getting through a buddy that's licensed or whatever to deal with that company, but I mean that's some good stuff right there.
That's amazing, man. That's probably the most intense finish I've ever even heard of. So you mentioned quickly the cabinet paint we were using on the tabletop. I definitely do not suggest it for anyone that's in here talking or trying to get a black finish on the tabletop. It was a massive fail. Talk about learning curves and talk about the technology advancing so fast. We were trying to get the blackest black, and I've never had a good experience with black stains. Is always too light. So we actually found a black tinted finish. I don't remember what the company was called, but it was a black finish, and it's amazing. It goes on so nice. It self levels incredible, and you can get all these different colors. It's not just black. So for anybody looking to do black or white or whatever color, wooden tabletops, there's another product out there now. I don't know what it's called or who makes it, but message me if you need any help with that.
Well, I'm gonna message you.
There we go. Yeah, dude, I'll send you. We actually still have the can in the back, so I'll go see what color or what company it was. So so yeah, man. Let's move on to another question here. So how do you keep your jobs organized? Like, do you have a backlist? Are you backlogged? Like, what's it kind of look like from your client's point of view when they place an order? How does the job progress from order placing, materials buying? Um, and then just kind of keeping your client in the loop. Like, how long are they waiting? Like, talk to me about the whole system.
Uh, so I guess realistically, we can pretty much boil everything down into two products, right? You can have, we'll say slab, epoxy, or we'll classify it in, we'll say river table. Or we'll have like flat pack type goods, right? That we're kind of trying to transition into. We'll say farmhouse tables, glue ups, different things of that nature. Stuff that's kind of high churn. Um, so personally, right now we do not use a CRM. I do utilize Shopify, so I do track everything through there. We do have like notes section or whatever that you can add to the client and per job as it goes through. But essentially, initially we go through a design process. Actually, I got a couple lined up for today. Um, but essentially, we go through a design process, samples, finishes, so on and so forth. Get examples from the client, come to an agreement. We always take 50% down. The only time we do not take 50% down and we essentially gather the entire invoice is if it's something like, for instance, that 12 foot by 4 or 12 by 4 conference table, or something that is that I cannot resell. Essentially, if somebody was like, just bailed on the last invoice, right? Because I'm not going to deliver the product unless that check is in hand, cash in hand, whatever the case may be.
Like the
When we
super
go to
custom
deliver the
stuff.
correct, correct. like a pink table or like something out the, crazy. Um, but yeah, so after essentially after that, after deposit is taken, at that point, that same day, I go ahead and order in all material. Generally speaking, from I guess, a profit standpoint, I try and group or lump. So if we're doing a bunch of dimensional tops, whether slab or epoxy tables, for instance, like the jobs today, essentially one is a table for a yacht, like a boat table for a yacht, fold down leaves, and then also it's a salon, so like a nail salon type thing. I haven't been in a nail salon before, but they sent me some pictures, so I kind of got an idea. But essentially, there's like a divide. We're going to build a divider wall, right? Like a resin with maple slabs or whatever, and then kind of match everything,
Nice.
and then engrave a logo in. But essentially, both of those, they're wanting to utilize maple. So from my perspective, or what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to lump those two jobs together instead of just purchasing, say, two or three slabs. We'll say three slabs or whatever for those two jobs. I'm better off pricing those to essentially purchase the entire tree. So get every single slab, milled, cut off, everything from that tree. So then that whole entire tree is priced into, or that log is priced into those two jobs, right? So now essentially from that, right, I end up getting, 6 to 7 slabs for free, so to speak, or those are sunken costs back into those two initial jobs. So we normally try and maneuver that way or whatever. One, it obviously helps our margins. It minimizes shipping. So like now I'm not placing two freight orders and I go from $300 to $800 in shipping. I can just get everything stacked on one pallet. We can pick it up and drop it off at the shop. Same thing with
So
additional stuff.
are you baking the whole boule into like those two orders, or are you kind of
Yep.
like just buying
Yeah,
the
because
rest?
I mean,
So like the client.
no, no. So the way that we'll price is we will set essentially a budget. So like that, we'll say that salon just for example, right? We'll set normally we do, it's normally about 30% material, 35% material cost, right? So normally 20% of that, or the bulk of all the material, right, is going to be your lumber, dimensional slabs, whatever the case may be. So that job is going to be 10 to 11 grand, somewhere in that ballpark, right? That whole entire bowl might cost me 3,500 to 4 grand, right? So generally speaking, between those two tables, my material cost is about 4 grand. I can purchase that bowl and then just pay for the shipping, right? So the shipping is then dispersed across, let's say there's 8 to 10 slabs remaining that we don't use. So now those slabs only cost me, $80 a slab, where technically retail they're 1,200 to 1,500 bucks, somewhere in that range, right? So then we'll sit on those and utilize them. But that's just kind of being in the space for a long time and knowing that that product will sell, or we can push that. Because the good thing too is, like, right, when you go to post a super custom piece like these two will be, somebody's going to be like, yeah, I want that one. Like, I want it to look exactly like that, or like I love the figuring or the color variations or whatever from those slabs. Like, you're in luck. I got 8 more slabs on hand, and then we also keep all the cutoffs and everything. We make coasters and little boards and whatever the case may be, or just sell them off and pay for the sandpaper or the finish or whatever the case may be. We got guys that come by and buy knife blanks and stuff of that nature. So it's really trying to maximize as much as I can get out of those particular jobs, to because right at the end of the day, like we talked about before, we're spending. Uh, cash flow is the hardest thing in this industry because you have such high churn, right? So like now
Right.
that we're this whole year we've been building out a new shop. We moved in January, right? Building mezzanine,
Nice.
CNC room. Right now we're doing like we just did HVAC or central air. We have heater. Now we're starting to build out a office on top of a spray room. So doing all the ventilation, the downdraft booth, and then it has a separate climate control because we'll do our it's a 15 by 15 room, but we'll do all our epoxy pours in there. Um, you know, photo ops and spraying all our pieces and all that stuff within that room. That's kind of the last piece to the puzzle, right?
Right.
So now we're trying
So
to.
one of the things that I always felt was the best way for photos was doing the photos in the client's house. And that kind of was we did it that way because we were able to essentially promote the lifestyle of our clients that way, right? Because
Yeah,
building or buying high-end custom furniture, you're essentially buying a status, right? It's the main thing is I'm having this piece built for me, built for my family, built for my business, whatever. It's a status that you are selling them, right? It's like a bougie event. So I always like to shoot the photos. I used to send my photographer to our clients' places and shoot it in its final home because that's where it's highlighted best. Because like just like you said, you're building on a 15 by 15 room for photos. It's like that might work for like a couple small pieces, but the second you got a big ass conference table in there, it's like how do you
yeah,
shoot that? You have to shoot that. You got to shoot that in their
oh
place
yeah,
because it's really gonna it's gonna shine different in its final resting space, And
yeah,
I always thought that was fun because you can also tag them in their post and you can use the pieces online and they want to show it off. So now you're getting it shown off to their friends and stuff like that. It's kind of like it's like a snowball effect. I find when you start shooting it in their house.
no, 100%. Yeah, so like I guess for instance, we'll use this year for example. A lot of those like so it's a mixture. It's like either like we did essentially a dive bar, right? Bar top dive bar, right? It didn't really like dim lighting, didn't really showcase. We did ambrosia maple, probably 100 foot. Granted, we did take pictures in there. That's not something that you take in a photo booth, so to speak. But like the
Yeah,
conference table, the 12 foot by 4 foot, that one's definitely shot there. But we also have a lot of pieces too. Like we did like self-made training facility. Good friend of mine, Edgar. At that time, essentially the location wasn't complete, and a lot of those commercial things are like they're going through renovations and different things. So just trying to have like ideally two different ways to capture it. But we always go back and shoot once we can actually go in and set up.
yeah, that's the
Just
way,
having
man.
some
I
variation. But yeah, I
I
definitely like that as well. I don't have a professional photographer. It's just me and the little iPhone slinging some pictures.
nice. Well, yeah, that's the way. And honestly, dude, with the cell phones and stuff nowadays, like you can always get some badass photos
Oh
with
yeah,
the cell
yeah.
phone. The way that I did this in our shop was I built a relationship over the last 13 years. I've been working with this photographer for about 9 years now. I was just with him the other day, but we built up a relationship with our photographer, and when our jobs were completed, the job cards went into a specific list on our job system that we use, and he had the ability to reach out to the clients on his own from me, right? So he would be like, "Hey, my name is Anthony. I'm Mike DeFazio's photographer. I was wondering if we could come by and shoot the piece that he built for you, and then he knows what it is because he can see the whole project. So it'd be like, I was wondering if we can come by and shoot the bar that he built for you. Just wondering how the renovations are going along." And like he's able to take care of that whole thing on his own, so that way he's taking the photos, and I have like nothing to do with it. But at the end of the day, I have just a bill to pay and professional photos of the finished space, which was really allowed me to really showcase the work that we're doing.
Yep.
You got to
Oh,
take it off my plate.
Absolutely. Probably gives the opportunity too to upsell them stuff, or like if it's a commercial space or something like that. Hey, while I'm already here, why don't I just shoot your whole facility, get you back pictures. It gives them a
Yeah.
way to
So
upsell himself and improve the relationship.
yeah. So when I was always working on building that relationship, so it was like, you know, in our gift baggies when we finally delivered our project, there was a gift card from him. So he's not some random guy when he goes to text him later. And I always
Yeah.
said, make as much as you possibly can with these guys. And I said, do it on your own accord, right? Like, don't worry about shooting my pieces first. Like, if you're in the area and you know you have a project there, go shoot it. But the way that this helped him out was it was just filler work. It's filler work for him. It's
Yep.
constant filler work. So it was nice to build up a relationship like that with him. So, but
Heck
yeah, dude,
yeah.
that's pretty sick. I know you got some big things going on. You were definitely like the epoxy guy that I know. Like I know you and I spoke about a year ago now about all these different epoxy tips and tricks and things that you were doing. Like you got even crazier tips and tricks now. You're using PPF on your tabletops, which is crazy to me. Which is so cool to see it because like the technology of that is so advanced. You have the most durable tabletop ever using the PPF. So, talk to me about your epoxy. So you're such a busy dude. You're actually building your own epoxy brand now. You're gonna have your own product to sell. And I've seen the finished product. It's like the clearest epoxy I've ever seen. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, man. So I guess kind of it's one thing in business you're always finding or looking essentially for a void, right? Um, I've always kind of utilized this, we'll say this business, or trying to figure out the best way to, I guess, kind of maximize profit in a little bit of time that I had, and be essentially being known as we'll say epoxy guy in the area or whatever the case may be, and a lot of people reaching out. One of the biggest things that I found, granted, I stay fairly busy within this business, and we pour, I don't even know how much epoxy per year. But like reaching out to guys like, super clear, utilizing liquid glass. I've used ice epoxy from Canada, eco epoxy. I've utilized everything. Um, but one of the biggest issues that I ran into was there was a lot of people like DIY people want to do craft jewelry or utilize, just trying to get into the space. However, they don't want to spend $230, $250, or whatever for like a quality brand resin. Um, to where like if I'm bulk ordering, I order a whole pallet, 3 gallon kits or whatever at a time. I can afford that, and I know that I can utilize it, but it also drives my price from 230 per kit or 220 per kit, whatever the case may be, down to 150. The main reason for them offering at 230 is solely based on overhead. A lot of those big time guys, they got call centers, they have warehouses, they got 500 employees, customer service, packing, R&D departments, like all this different stuff. So yeah, behind the scenes, I've been working for it's like two-ish years, somewhere around there. But essentially, I took everything that I didn't like from certain brands, and I'm not one to bash on anybody. There's tons of great brands out there, but I realized there was a void in the market, especially for guys that are just trying to get introduced, or guys like me and you that looking to make a little extra, looking to add like a retail item, or just solely like we average 12 gallons per epoxy project we do, right? So it's like if we have somebody new getting into the business and they don't have $12,000 to spend or more on ordering a pallet of epoxy to get their cost down to 150, why not just be that individual that can offer essentially direct to consumer, or offer a product at wholesale cost? Because I don't have,
So
outside of my shop expense, I really have no overhead. My overhead is under $1,000 a month. between
Nice.
my shop space, electric. You know, uh, I personally don't pay any labor, so I'm doing the bulk of the building outside of that rev share. And sorry to burst all the big guys' bubbles, but it doesn't cost that much money to build a high quality brand. But going back and forth with R&D teams for 2 years. I was hoping to have the product label done today, which it will be, unfortunately, like 2 hours after this call. Um, but yeah, so that's essentially where we're at. We're going to offer. We're starting with deep pour. I'm doing this all cash based. With me, there's no financing or backers or anything of that nature. But yeah, we're going to start open up pre-orders this coming Monday. So we're going to run pre-orders for about 7 days,
It's so
and then
you're planning on like
yeah,
trying to help the guy like smaller smaller builders or people that are just getting started, right? You're like, are you gearing
yep.
what you're doing towards them?
I would say them, and then also we'll say eventually in the larger shops. I think there's. Look, I'm not here trying to take 20-30% of market share or anything of that nature, right? I mean, hell, there's millions of people that utilize a product like this. We're just trying to tap in to small market, grow smaller, do some influencer kind of marketing and stuff like that, and truly give back right to the community. Whether giving, for instance, giving you like a affiliate link to where it pays out, they promote the product, they like the product, but I'm truly trying to build a product that everybody enjoys, and then also essentially save $60 if they want to still charge that back to the customer at 220 per 3 gallon kit and their material costs. Obviously, everybody has their different business model. If they do something like that, and their average pour is even 6 gallons, that's $120 back in their pocket, or they can reinvest or whatever the case may be. So really trying to
That's awesome, man.
essentially offer that wholesale product. We'll be coming to market. I believe right now probably about 170 per 3 gallon kit.
Nice.
Like I
That's
said,
pretty cheap.
I utilize the product every single day. There's tons of my work that can speak to its clarity. I know during pre-order we're going to knock it down to 150 per 3 gallon kit. What we're trying to do is essentially get it out there, right? I want to create a essentially an unbiased review, right? Yes, I utilize it every day. However, get it into as many hands as possible to essentially try out the product. And then I like feedback at the end of the day. You don't know what's wrong with something until you get feedback, whether it's from yes, I pour it every day, so yes, I know tips and tricks and different wormholes or heating up a product or ambient temperature, volume. All these different things play into how something's going to react. Uh,
So what? So
but
what? What's
you know,
this? What's it going to be called, man? Like talk to me about like what are you guys going to be called? Like I want to know about it. What's it called?
so so another reason for this whole thing is we touched on it earlier is cash flow. So this particular product is just going to be branded directly under Star City Designs. It's just going to be a essentially deep pour epoxy product. I'm tying this into the brand. I know it's kind of one of the questions we may get into here in a little bit, but it's more about the long term stability of the company to kind of deviate from the ebbs and flows right of the furniture business, especially with people that are just getting started. Right, they might just do residential only until they get build up those commercial connections and so on and so forth. But for me, it's more of a cash flow and stability thing, and also a specifically like for valuation down the road. So it's
Valuation.
gonna be
So we talk about valuation. Are you planning on like selling the wood shop, the whole wood company with the epoxy as part of
yep,
its assets?
yep,
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No. There's
Sick. So what?
say there's a couple guys in the industry. I know they broke away. Um, Great guy over at Rustic Lumber Store. He has his own brand. I believe he's in like Indiana. Super cool dude. Uh, I think he just I think he just rebranded. It's like Epoxy Daddy or something like that. But he broke away from essentially broke away from his brand, or like his Rustic Lumber Store brand. There it is. But
Huh?
we might do
Yeah.
that
So
down
you
the
got.
road. I'm not sure. Um, that's definitely a thought for later down the road. I definitely want to see if this takes off, which I'm sure it will. We've garnered a ton of attention and interest, specifically over the years, because we do sell a bunch of lumber, slabs, and stuff like that to the public as well, as part of the model. And then we'll probably get into doing some classes and stuff like that. But the classes are more to utilize cutoffs from a lot of it's pretty much free cash flow, and then also garner interest into the resin, and then also looking to pursue bigger opportunities with like woodcraft, and a lot of these big retail distributors, to kind of get the product out there. But
So you're planning on building like you're planning on building up the company right now to the point where you have a retail side, the custom building side, and then the product. You would essentially own the products also in that. So like, do
yep.
you think that this entire thing, your work included, are you planning on building products that you're going to be selling through the company, or is it still going to be more on the custom built, like kind of your hands? Because I hear what you're saying, and I think it's amazing. I just wonder how you're planning on duplicating the work that your hands is doing. Because myself included, I've experienced this where we talk about selling the company, and it's like, well, what is your company? What is it? Is it just you? Is it just this guy? Is it just your tools? Like you got products and stuff now, but like company wise, what is it that someone would be interested in buying Star City Designs for? Like, what is it? Is it the work that you're doing, or just the products, the tools? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I would say one, reputation, social proof, connections, contractor list. Of course, the epoxy brand as that grows. I see my man Alex Hermosi back there on the back screen. Little sweet babes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely think the so I guess one of the things I've been deeply contemplating. So the other gentleman, we work incredible together, back and forth. He has a ton of experience. He's from the design and construction world. MBA, super smart dude. Essentially, essentially retired, right? But just he loves to work, loves to create, design. He doesn't plan on stopping anytime soon. Um, the future, it really depends, man. I feel like we have a pretty set 5 year plan. I'm 32 now. I definitely foresee doing this until 40. Um, However, there definitely comes a time with this business or any business to where I need to break away and essentially run the business more and not be so hands on or day to day or building or so on and so forth. So I definitely foresee that. We're looking to we've definitely been in talks, in regards to that, but we just need to essentially break a revenue point to where then we can alleviate tasks like one of the things I hate the most is sanding, right? So I can sit in
Yeah.
this, spray booth all day and, spray stuff, right? Or just have a guy dedicated to glue up some mill work or, stuff like that. Um, to where like I can go out and do, design consultations and see the space and like I thoroughly enjoy that. And then, taking essentially a vision, right, and then creating it into a finished piece and seeing that piece. Uh, I'm a guy that loves to work with his hands, so
So
that's also kind of the
100
outlet for that. Yeah.
100%, man. So I totally get what you're saying, and just like a lot of people in this industry, like we are great with our hands. Learning the other side of business is an entire other world for a lot of us. You've got a lot of experience in like a couple different industries, which is like really cool actually to learn about with you. And I know you and I have met through coaching programs and stuff like that, like working on
Yep.
how to grow our company and everything.
Yep.
Couple, like, was that about a year or two ago now? Like, are you working with anybody
I
now
think
on
so.
trying to get to that point where you can actually step back from the day to day, step back from the sanding, and maybe lifting the tables and sourcing materials and things like that? Like, are you working with anybody right now?
I would say currently no. No, we handle everything in house. However, I think we briefly chatted about it the other day, but really trying to go into 2025 and really figure out my efficiencies as a whole, like day to day life between this company and the other two, um, and figure out where my time, obviously, what do I get the most enjoyment out of? One, how do I continue the financial path or journey that I'm going down, and really what makes the most sense for my family and myself. Um,
Like, kind of putting all your eggs in one basket type thing. Like, do you feel like you need to put all your eggs in one basket, even if it's just for a small time, to like really focus and grow it?
well, so it depends, right? It's Q3 for me has um, been pretty hectic. And then obviously this is furniture season to a T, right? Start getting flooded with everything else. Then with the marketing company, you have people that are essentially doing budgeting for the following year, prepaying the marketing expenditures, tax season. There's a whole pretty unfortunately just about everything falls into Q3 Q4 for me. But like
Hmm.
Q3 has been a very big, I mean, it's essentially a big juggle, right? So 80 Floors, the concrete coating business, essentially hiring, training the staff, getting a trailer, do a trailer build out, you know, covering everything, setting up the CRM, Facebook ads, building the website. Like, even though I have a marketing company or a marketing team that I could source that to, they're tied up doing recurring revenue stuff for me, right? So I take on all that burden on top of completing the jobs, doing the Star City stuff, and a lot of Star City stuff now. Well, I had it up, the website up before, but I'm redoing the website now, rebranding. Now kind of understand from efficiency standpoint the direction of the company, and now I'm starting to redo the website now and pushing us in the direction that we need to go. Um, so probably the next 2 weeks are big, right? I got to redo the website. I got pre-orders, getting all that situated, reaching out. I think we have like 600 pre-orders so far. Um, yeah, there's unfortunately a ton going on across all the different staples.
Yeah, man.
But the hardest thing about any business, man, is I mean, especially if you're starting from scratch, you got to wear 20 different hats, and unfortunately, I'm wearing 20 hats for three different things currently, right? But within, we'll say, the next 30 days, a lot of that'll be alleviated, and then I can start stepping back, and I'm not in that, we'll say, the day to day as much anymore. Like marketing pretty much runs itself outside of client acquisition, which I take calls. Concrete coating, same thing. Just taking sales calls, operational for the business. And then Star City, I want to be more hands on and in the shop, daily. building stuff, because truly that's, that obviously that's the direction that makes me the most happy. Marketing is kind of boring, concrete coating. It's it's pretty cool. It's a great cash flowing asset, and that company was solely built off of connections I already have within all the home builders and everything within the area. Essentially, it was a void in the market that I just decided to fill based on my connections. Uh, but yeah, I think next year we're putting a lot of thought into, like, the epoxy stuff aside, is truly growing and scaling
Yeah,
Star City. Uh, you know, we're looking to shoot for 450 to 500K, somewhere in there. We're already doing six figures, and have been for the last couple of years. But that's me essentially working 15 or so hours within the business, 15 20 hours a week within the business. Uh, but yeah, I think the future is definitely bright. Just got to fix some
that's good.
efficiencies, get more into some commercial work, some residential work. Um, Obviously, more projects we pump out, we get tons of referrals. Delivered a boat table last week, and three individuals that own $2 million yachts hit me up 3 days later. I was like, hey, we want boat tables too. So
That's
I
awesome,
think,
man.
yeah,
That's
I think
good.
think the future is definitely bright, man. Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It sounds like you. I mean, you know what you're doing. You got a lot going on, so it's just like it. You just kind of sounds like you just got like almost too much going on in certain areas, man. But
Yes,
I love hearing about this
the hustle.
epoxy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've always been the same way too, man. Like I've always had, you can call it shiny object syndrome, whatever it is. Every time I've ever kind of taken my feet off the wheel for too, or foot off the gas for too long here to put it somewhere else, I kind of feel like I've always come up short a little bit in both. Where it's like when I got rid of everything else that I was doing and went full force in my own shop, this shop grew
yeah,
huge, and I was able to start buying real estate all over the place, and that was my main focus, and it still
yep.
is my main focus, to be honest. that is my favorite thing. But look, man,
Well, go
I,
ahead and
I don't
get
I
you a
don't want
house
to
down here, man.
yeah, I know we got to get down to the states. We've been trying to move down to the states. Actually, we love it down
Where are
there.
you trying to
We
go?
love America.
Where are you trying to
Texas,
go?
Arizona,
Okay. Oh,
Texas, or
with
yeah,
the heat.
Arizona, somewhere down south for sure. We want to get away from the cold that we get up here, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't
Yeah,
blame you.
one
You
day,
gonna
one
keep
day
the shop?
we'll make it out
Move?
there one day, huh?
You gonna keep you gonna hang on to the shop if you move?
Nope. No,
Nope.
the shop. I mean, I'm gonna be taking like, yeah, I'll have my stuff with me. I'll always have my stuff with me. Where the shop goes in the next little bit, we'll see. I'm in some big transition periods right now, which has been really interesting and fun for me to experience. So whatever happens with the shop here in the future, it's kind of unknown at this point. But I'm definitely moving in a different direction myself. So we can talk about that another day. Yeah, man. So, look, man, Josh, I wanted to thank you for spending an hour with me here on the show, getting telling us a little bit about your story. Hopefully, this is helping somebody out, helping somebody get through some of the harder things that they're going through right now in their wood shop. Hopefully, with some tips and tricks that Josh was able to help you guys out with. Guys, go check out Josh on Instagram, Star City Design. He is like the epoxy king, and he's going to have his epoxy brand coming out soon. So you guys should definitely check that out. Send him a message, let him know that you want to try some. Maybe he'll fix you up. I don't know, but I'm sure he'll fix you up somehow. So, Josh, man, thanks a bunch. I appreciate you, and I'm interested in watching where you go, man. Where you take everything from here. I'll be paying attention to you.
100%, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Cool, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for checking out Maker's Legacy. This is episode 1 with a guest. So thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Check out the channel. There's a lot of information that's going to be coming out on this channel that's going to help you guys get through some of the hard things in your wood shop. So take it easy, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys.
No!